Hey guys, I'm Anna.
And I'm Brian.
And we are Those Annoying Vegans!
And today we had more drama on the Instagrams.
Oh, so much drama. We want to discuss
a little message that we received from someone on Instagram. Occasionally we will put up somewhat inflammatory memes as a way to spark thought in people that look at them. We had a message on Instagram that reads as follows. Hi, I've watched some of your videos and there are some things I wanted to tell you. I'm really happy about the fact that you're animal rights activists and you're doing such a great job. But you really need to work on your social skills. I'm a vegan myself and I know a lot of vegans and I also watch a lot of vegan content and I literally never saw so judgmental vegans in my life. Like, you judge vegetarians for eating dairy and eggs and act like they are doing nothing and address them as they are as bad as meat eaters. Instead of saying, hey, you're doing great. Thanks for the effort. Keep going strong.
Because some cruelty is okay.
Limited cruelty, select cruelty is fine. Keep going strong, or something like that. Some of your videos made me mad, even though I don't eat meat and dairy. In one of them you said, be the vegan you would have wanted to meet before you were not vegan. Well, there is no good way to say this, but you two are not the vegans I would have wanted to meet before I became one myself.
Ouch.
Keep in mind that I'm not doing this to offend you. I just wanted to tell you that you should know better than anyone that veganism is about love and respect, and you could start sharing this very powerful and important message with love and respect instead of cold judgment. And here is how you do it.
Because he knows best.
We got a script. Here we go. Dear Anna and Brian, I'm so happy that there are people like you in this world. Your work for the animals is so inspiring and amazing. Keep on going.
Gee, thanks.
Point is, start focusing on good things people are doing and don't judge them for those that you don't like about them. Change your approach. Be kind to them and explain to them why you think they might be wrong and suggest them how to correct that. And if they fail for 100th time, do not judge them, but appreciate their effort and help them start all over again. That's all. Hope you don't get this the wrong way. Have a nice day. We hear this a lot on our Instagram page, in the YouTube comments. People don't like our approach. They don't like our attitude. They don't like the way that we phrase things. We
understand that our approach has changed over the last 4 years because we were very new to veganism. But everything changed when we became active. When we became activists, our YouTube channel went from being focused on food to being focused on the victims. Because that is what veganism is all about. And that will inevitably make people uncomfortable.
And the reason it makes people uncomfortable is because, as we've said nearly 1,000 times, if not more, most every single human being on planet Earth, 99.9 repeating percent of all human beings, already agree with veganism. Everyone is against animal cruelty. No one wants to needlessly kill and torture and abuse and exploit animals. Everyone already agrees. We're all in agreement. The reason people get so uncomfortable is because they know that their actions don't align with those beliefs, but they would like to keep going the same way because it's familiar and it's traditional
and it's comfortable.
And I like the taste of pepperoni pizza and blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't address the victim. It doesn't address the ethics. And veganism, by definition, is an ethical lifestyle.
And I would posit that most of the people getting offended and claiming that we're being too harsh have not set foot at a slaughterhouse. Or they are not active. You might be vegan, but you might not be active, and you don't know what that is like. To see their faces in those slaughter trucks week after week, that does something to you. You sort of start to lose a little bit of patience with bullshit, and you start to get real.
And I would venture to guess that most people who have a problem with our approach are people who have not engaged in very much street activism in their time as vegans. Once you have 50, 100, 200, 1,000 conversations with strangers on the street about veganism, you start to realize what works and what doesn't work. And what doesn't work is just telling people that they can get a Beyond Burger instead of a hamburger. Telling people that there's vegan cheese at the store instead of, cow breast milk cheese. What does work, what makes people actually change, is telling them that this suffering is being caused because of their actions. You're paying for a product, and when you pay for the product, the cruelty to animals happens. Now, if you stop paying for the product, the cruelty to animals stops.
Now, guys, this is all factual. These are facts. But people get upset at us for exposing the truth instead of getting upset at the facts. It is easier to blame the messenger than to take responsibility for one's own actions.
And by the way, we are standing on the shoulders of giants here, on such massively influential activists like that vegan couple, Joey Carbstrong, Earthling Ed, Paul Bashir from Anonymous for the Voiceless. These are the techniques that they say work because they have put in far more legwork than we have. And perhaps we have put in far more legwork than someone else who gets offended by what we say. This is just the conclusions that you come to based on real world experience. And that's what we have. We have real world experience in talking to people and seeing, ooh, this person went vegan, this person did not. What's the difference? What is the common through line that people who go vegan and stay vegan for life, what is that common through line that they all have? And it's the ethical connection. So we responded to this person on Instagram by saying, would you feel the same way if a person was abusing children instead of animals? Would you advocate that they abuse fewer children, or would you advocate that they stop abusing children altogether? Would you commend the oppressor for abusing fewer children, or would you be honest and direct with them about the harm that they are causing and advocate that they stop? Why, in your opinion, is paying for dairy industry deaths more moral than paying for meat industry deaths? Everyone has an opinion on how vegan activism should be conducted, and we are not concerned with what people think of us. We are concerned with being honest, direct, speaking up for the victims, and telling the truth. And that's actually a form of respect. People often say, hey, the way you guys are talking is very disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful to treat people like they're toddlers. People are adults. People can handle the truth. We have enough respect for you as an adult to tell you, hey, your buying habits are causing this to happen. And I believe in you. I believe that you're a good person, and I believe that you'll change because you want to align your actions with your values. I think being honest and direct with someone is respectful. And he writes back, I totally agree with everything you said. My reasons for becoming a vegan are the same, but I'm a psychology student, which is why I know that approach is everything. Attacking and judging people is only going to make them rebel and do the opposite of what you're trying to make them do. But hey, that was an advice. You don't have to consider taking it. It's completely up to you. Here's another advice. Watch the video I've sent you. This is the approach that made me become vegan and never look back. Which brings us to the subject of today's video. We watched this video that this individual sent us as an example of a more respectful, more kind, more compassionate approach. And so we wanted to go through this video and share with you our thoughts.
And right up front, just so you guys know, we are not going to bash this individual. We actually agree with so many of the things she says. There is just one very important missing component in this video.
And it's a great highlight of the difference between advocating for plant-based diets and advocating for veganism, which is what we talk about on this channel all the time. They are different, and this video is a perfect demonstration of that.
And in regards to this is the approach that worked for me, we have to get off that ego train, okay? Because people respond to different approaches. You know what worked for us? Dairy is scary, earthlings, in-your-face activism. We were vegetarian for far too long, and we don't want that for you. We might have all been motivated to go vegan for different reasons, but unless you have made an ethical connection to the victims, it's not veganism.
Before we get started, guys, due to some changes on YouTube, it really helps us out if you're not only subscribed, but click that notification bell and select all so you'll be notified every time we put out a new video. So we're going to review this video from Pickup Limes, a video called Beginner's Guide to Veganism, How to Go Vegan.
Hi, I'm Sadia, and today we are going to discuss Pickup Lime's top 12 tips for any beginners venturing into the world of veganism. Now, this was a highly requested video, and I'm very happy to share it with you today. But before we begin, there's a few important things that I need to mention. I am in no way pressuring you or forcing you to become a vegan. That's just not my philosophy. I think you should always do what feels right to you and let others do the same.
First problem, 26 seconds into the video.
Granted, we cannot force or pressure anyone to go vegan.
No.
But
saying, hey, it's not my vibe to pressure you into being vegan. You do you do what works for you. That is not a vegan message.
It's not about
you would not,
you. It's not about me. It's not about us.
No, you would not say, hey, I know you like to beat your wife, and I'm going to tell you why you should stop beating your wife. But first, let me just tell you, I am in no way trying to force you to stop beating your wife. If you want to keep beating your wife, you know, you got to do.
All up to you.
You got to do what you do. You know, it's your vibe, and I'm just going to share with you my non-beating wife lifestyle. But hey, if you want to keep the wife beating up, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're talking about victims.
We're talking about animals who are tortured, abused, who are suffering for the sake of taste pleasure.
And if you have no interest in adopting a vegan lifestyle, you certainly don't need to in order to still enjoy this video and the tips that I share. Including more plant-based foods into your diet is a win all around. If you're somebody who has a medical condition, you're immune compromised, or you're feeding young children, I would recommend seeing a physician or a dietitian before you begin. That way you've just got your bases covered. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about my journey into veganism, the difficulties I experienced when I first started, or the fears that I had with coming out as a vegan dietitian, I've already written about it on the website, so I will leave a link to that in the description box below in case you feel it.
It's so sad that people are afraid to come out as vegans. Coming out as being against animal cruelty is not shameful. Shouldn't be shameful.
And
it's
I don't
a
know
good
why
thing.
It's this big. Yeah, I'm vegan. Ooh. You're against animal cruelty. That's moral.
That's okay.
Box below in case you feel like checking it out. Okay, all of that aside, now let's get started. Forget what you heard about vegan food being bland, the lifestyle being too expensive, you not getting enough nutrients, or just being too complicated to incorporate into your life. If you go into it with a negative mindset, it's just going to feel like a punishment. But trust me, it is the furthest thing from that. Eating this way is nourishing, delicious, and wholesome. It's food that loves you as much as you love it back. And like anything else, it gets easier with time and practice. You'll find more affordable places to shop, and making meals will be just as quick, if not quicker, to make in time. So forget everything you think you know, and dive in with an open mind.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said, except for that was 100% about diet.
All about the food.
Again, we're talking about killing babies in a slaughterhouse. Not addressed here. You'll find the more affordable places to shop, or you'll find, like, it's like this journey. Like, whatever grocery store you go to has vegan food. It's not hard, and whole plant foods are cheap. So I feel like she's setting the table with all these hurdles that you're going to have to overcome.
You might want to follow one of our friends on Instagram, Food Stamp Vegan. We have friends who specialize in showing people how to shop affordably. It is possible.
Some people feel like when they become vegan, they need to also simultaneously become zero waste, minimalists, gluten-free, sugar-free, oil-free, fitness warriors, not to mention an expert in vegan nutrition. But why all the pressure? You're going to learn more and more about veganism with time, and you can start to adopt these other lifestyle practices down the road if they even resonate with you at all. But biting off more than you can chew just leads to indigestion. So slow and steady, friends.
That is true, but so few of those lifestyles have to do with ethics. Like if you want to become a fitness warrior, that has nothing to do with needlessly killing animals.
Yeah.
Or if you want to dive into plant-based nutrition, like the science behind plant-based nutrition, it's nothing to do with needlessly killing animals. And gluten-free, sugar-free, oil-free, like none of that has anything to do with ethics. And you don't have to be any of those things to be vegan. In fact, we would venture to guess you're already vegan. In here. You just have to be vegan in here.
In here.
Like I said, everything we do is harder and requires more of our time in the beginning. So intentionally schedule some extra time when it comes to preparing meals, at least for the first few weeks. You'll get faster, don't worry. The lifestyle change is going to be complicated if you've got nothing on hand to work with. So start by stocking up on the Pantry Essentials. I've made a video on this already, so I'll link it at the end of this video if you want to check it out. And you know what else? If you're just starting off, please don't go to the extreme and forbid yourself from having any treat foods, only to look at other people who have them and then envy them. Now, veganism is just as fun. I always enjoy having some dark chocolate in the home, and Robin always likes to have a bag of chips for whenever we're in the mood. And because a whole foods plant-based lifestyle means that you're likely eating well the majority of the time, you don't have to give yourself a hard time for occasionally enjoying some treats. Something like some homemade vegan banana bread or homemade vegan cookies or muffins. it's all good. In addition to the Pantry Essentials, you're gonna wanna also make sure that you are stocked up on things like fresh produce, breads, those plant-based meat alternatives. I've already made a comprehensive grocery shopping list on Vegan Essentials, so if you wanna get your own free copy, you can check out the link in the description box below.
We agree with all of those things.
Again, it's
they
just
certainly help.
Yeah, I mean, we have an entire raw bar up there above our sink. We've got oats, we've got sunflower seeds, we've got dry lentils, we've got popcorn, we've got rice. Yes, it does help to stock your pantry with cheap foods that you buy in bulk. You can do all of these things that she mentioned if you would like, but you don't have to do any of these things to go vegan. I notice here that she swapped out the word vegan for whole food plant-based. Like, don't be afraid to have treats, because if you're eating whole food plant-based, then you're already eating healthy. Well, whole food plant-based and vegan are not the same thing.
Not the same.
I'm skeptical at how many people that eat a standard diet of like pizza and hamburgers and french fries and Taco Bell and KFC are gonna like swap out their pantry for like raw oats and sunflower seeds and red lentils and stuff. That's a massive shift.
Yeah.
And you don't have to make that shift in order to live an ethical lifestyle. You can just get the vegan alternative of whatever you're eating. Now, we of course advocate a whole food plant-based diet because it is the only diet that has reversed our #1 killer. It's the healthiest diet. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has said that a well-planned vegan diet is perfectly suitable for all stages of life. So we can't advocate a Beyond Burger based diet, but this is a perfect example of someone who's advocating for whole food plant-based health and not veganism.
This is not a deprivation diet. It's an eat in abundance lifestyle. So a lot of times when people first think about veganism, they start to think about all the things that they can't have. Beef, chicken, fish, cheese, yogurt, butter, ice cream, milk. But that's not the right mindset. Instead, what we want to do is focus on all of the things we are adding and let these foods naturally replace the other stuff. Adding more plant-based dairy alternatives like soy, almond, rice, or coconut milks and yogurts. More whole grains, more fruits, more vegetables, more nuts, seeds, trail mixes, beans, lentils, tofu. You get the idea.
Yes, we advocate for this way of thinking all the time. However, we usually phrase it as, don't think of it as you're giving up meat, cheese, dairy, and eggs. You're simply not taking what was never yours, because that's the flesh of an animal, the breast milk of an animal, the ovulation of an animal. It was never yours to take in the first place. So you're not giving anything up. That's the ethical connection that we would have injected into this. It's a similar idea, but
it's just the phrasing of it can be tricky.
And one more tip, if you're new to vegan, take advantage of the different mock meats, also known as textured vegetable proteins, that are available at most large chain grocery shops. When Robin first transitioned to eating more plant-based, he says this was the only reason he was able to actually stick with it. Some mock meatballs, mock ground beef, and mock chicken helps in your transition for sure. And if you don't know how to cook tofu, they even have pre-seasoned tofu available in most shops as well. With time, you can start to substitute for other more wholesome plant-based sources of protein if you'd like, things like making your own tofu, tempeh, lentils, and beans. But in the beginning, go ahead and use all the resources available to you.
What makes us stick to veganism is the animals, are the victims. So when you go to a slaughterhouse and you see these innocent animals on the trucks and you look into their eyes, that right there is why we do not purchase products that contribute to that cruelty.
And I know a lot of dudes will say, I don't know if it's like is it like a manly way to say it? It's like, hey, if it weren't for the mock meats, man, I never would have stuck with this veganism thing. Either they're afraid to say that the reason they stayed vegan was because they care about animals, or they simply haven't made the ethical connection. You can have all the vegan mock meats in the world, but you can still live an immoral lifestyle by buying leather or going to SeaWorld or, you know, doing other things in your life that exploit animals too. So I think it's important that we distinguish that.
Yeah, so it's not you stayed vegan because of the mock meats, is you stayed plant-based because of the mock meats.
When you do start to include more beans and lentils as your plant sources for protein and carbs, start slow. A lot of people go from having nothing to having a cup or more in a day, and then they wonder why they're experiencing indigestion or gas. It does take our bodies some time to adjust, so start seriously with as little as 2 tablespoons a day, gradually increasing to 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, full cup, or however much you want. So a gradual increase in intake can help to mitigate the whole gas and bloat situation. I understand that it can be overwhelming in the beginning, especially if you don't know what to make. So start by learning just a handful of recipes that you enjoy and learn them well. These are going to be your defaults. With this lifestyle picking up momentum, there is no shortage of plant-based recipes on the web. Pinterest and YouTube are two places that will offer you thousands of delicious recipes. Simply type in vegan recipes and you'll have more options than you can imagine. And if that still feels like too much work, you can always go to the Pickup Lime's Pinterest page with boards that have already been created and organized for you into breakfasts, smoothies, drinks, snacks, main meals, and more. As always, the link can be found in the description box below. It is common to feel more hungry when you've just made the transition. Keep in mind that plant-based foods offer fewer calories for more bulk. Fruits, vegetables, and legumes simply can't offer the same amount of calories as you would find in the same amount of fatty meats, butter, cheese, or ice cream. So if you've just finished an entire meal and an hour or two later you find that you're still hungry, then honor your hunger and eat some more if you feel it'll help. It will take you some time to adjust, but just trust that your body will adjust and find its own balance very soon.
Yes, again, we agree. We talk about this all the time. If you're focusing on whole plant foods, then yes, of course, whole plant foods are calorically dilute, but they're nutritionally dense.
So you want to have more.
You want to eat more.
Which is never a bad thing.
But you can eat processed vegan food that's really high in calories. Anything with oil in it is going to be really high in calories. So yeah, you might have to shift in your mind what you think an appropriate sized meal is, because you're used to eating animal flesh and breast milk and chicken periods and stuff like that. So now you're eating food, like real food. So you have to like change what looks like a full meal. This is all just about food though.
Which is,
a person could watch this and go and do the things she's saying, but I don't.
And they're great tips. They're great tips if we're just focusing on the food aspect of veganism. It's not that there's anything wrong with the things that she is saying, but she did title her video Beginner's Guide to Veganism, How to Go Vegan. We would have replaced the term veganism with plant-based. It's more accurate.
Very soon. I say this a lot because I think it's the most powerful tool that we've got. And that is, what is your why power? Why is it that you want to adopt a plant-based lifestyle? Is it for your health, for the environment, for the animals? Can you be more specific? And can you write it down?
Now see, now she kind of got it backwards.
Yes.
Because
she said
plant-based lifestyle, that's where we would say vegan lifestyle.
And you can only go vegan for ethics. You can't go vegan for your own health, because veganism is about avoiding animal exploitation. She's using these terms interchangeably: vegan, plant-based, whole food plant-based. But here, we're finally on to the topic of why.
And we're not saying that it's bad to worry about yourself. Please worry about yourself. It's important to care about our health, but we're saying those things are more pertinent to diet, not a vegan lifestyle. And the reason we are really nitpicking on semantics here is because there is a very clear distinction. And we feel that people will eat a poorly planned diet and then blame the ethical lifestyle for their health challenges. So it is not that there's anything wrong with the philosophy that is veganism. It is a matter of poor dietary choices.
This is why we just always advocate that people replace the word vegan with feminist and just see if the logic
is consistent. Yeah.
So if you say, oh man, my health suffered because I was on a feminist diet, does that make any sense? You see?
Veganism is like saying feminism,
yes.
You know?
Or anti-slavery, anti-racism, anti-homophobia. I was on an anti-homophobic diet and I had digestion problems.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Doesn't make sense.
By seeing it on a regular basis and constantly reminding ourselves of the why, it'll be more likely to stick. And the other thing it does is it helps us to shift our focus away from the losses, the things we think we're losing, like our ability to have chicken. And instead what it does is it focuses our attention on the gains. So gaining improved health, gaining an improved environmental footprint, gaining the peace of mind knowing that an animal's life wasn't taken for us to enjoy our meal. Now, regardless of what your reason...
First time she ever...
There you go.
Hey.
Minute
7:39
out of 12.
Yeah.
We go into the crux,
and it just
foundation that is veganism. right
I know,
here.
but it just seems like she's trying to couch it in this, like, first of all, she listed it last. She didn't address it until more than halfway through the video. And, you know, not to mention, like, the acoustic guitar playing in the back. Like, it's just very, like, hey, man.
It's very pretty.
Good vibes and everything.
Yeah.
But she just mentioned, like, do you gain the peace of mind that an animal is not killed? I mean, it's more like you're gaining yourself. You're aligning your actions with your beliefs, finally.
Yeah.
You already held these beliefs for your whole life.
You're doing yourself a favor, too.
Yeah.
Regardless of what your reason is, and there's no judgment, the question to be asking yourself is why? Because it allows you to shift your focus away from the things you think you're losing and instead focus on what you are actually gaining. So you messed up. Seriously, don't sweat it. Just do as much as is reasonable to you. There's a few glorified stories of these people who became vegan overnight and never looked back, and we all envy them, because to be honest, the path and journey into veganism is more of a zigzag than it is a straight line. I mean, think of—
We would agree with some of that, but I don't think those stories are necessarily glorified. They're real, they exist. Yeah. People go vegan overnight. We certainly didn't, and we wish we had. We just didn't make the ethical connection to dairy, eggs, and fish right away, until someone suggested Aaron Janis's dairy is scary and what is wrong with eggs. Mm-hmm. That's in-your-face activism, I would say. That certainly worked for us.
And again, not a terribly vegan message to say, hey, if you mess up, don't even worry about it. It's totally cool. Again, let's replace the victim. Hey, you punched your toddler in the face. Don't sweat it. It's totally cool. Just try not to punch your toddler in the face tomorrow. I think that you should feel guilty about contributing to animal exploitation if you're against it.
And just to clarify, we're interpreting her "did you mess up" question as, did you give in? Did you cheat on your plant-based diet? Not as, did you order at Calzone? Yeah. They mixed up the orders. Real story.
That's a real story. It happened to us, and I was very upset about it. Now, that's different. If you tried to eat a vegan meal and someone else sabotaged your meal or accidentally gave you the wrong meal, that's not your fault. But this, hey, you know, I'm gonna go through life and I'm gonna do my best, but you know, sometimes I just gotta eat cheese. That's not a vegan message.
Yeah.
That's not advocating for veganism. That's advocating for reducing your animal product consumption or something. Flexitarian,
reducitarian.
I don't know what that means.
Terms to make you feel less guilty about the cruelty you're contributing to.
It's okay to feel guilty when you've done something wrong. That's the whole point of the emotion guilt that we have evolved as a species. Of course, don't beat yourself into a pulp and ultimately decide that life isn't worth living. You want to move beyond these mistakes and start to live a more ethical lifestyle, but I think it's okay to feel bad if you've done something that doesn't align with your beliefs.
I mean, think about it. You're rewriting years or decades of teachings about how to eat, and you're reconfiguring habits that you've lived with for your whole life. So the boat may rock a couple of times. If you trip, just turn it into a dance and keep smiling. In other words, if you've slipped up, it's seriously okay. Onwards and upwards.
Would the animals say this? Would the animals tell you, it's totally cool, man?
Yeah.
If you slipped up, if you had a piece of bacon, totally cool, man. I know it's my flesh. I know I was killed for it, but it's okay. Keep trying.
Yeah. And do you want to know why people quote unquote slip up, as she's saying? Mm-hmm. It's because they haven't made the ethical connection. So the only reason you give in to your craving for bacon is when you haven't made the connection that that bacon required a 6-month-old baby piglet to be gassed to death and then have his or her throat slit and had her flesh cut off of her body and seasoned with salt and liquid smoke and put into a pretty plastic package and put on the shelf at the grocery store. If you are able to see all of that, then you're less likely to slip up.
That's why we advocate for people to go to a vigil and watch Dominion, watch Earthlings, watch Land of Hope and Glory. Anyone going off in the comments right now has probably never been to a vigil. So go to a vigil and see if it opens your heart and your eyes. And we know it's scary, and you will probably never address this because you never do. We've invited numerous people to attend vigils and they just ignore it. Really, try. Go to a vigil and go to a slaughterhouse. And if you're scared to, then ask yourself why. And then maybe instead of going off in the comments, find a way to make a change in your own lifestyle.
Yes, a vitamin B12 supplement is recommended, but how often you'd need to take it depends on the dosage. I've written a very brief article on this. I'll leave the link in the description box in case you want to check it out. And if you're also living somewhere where the sun is not shining so much, or maybe it is, but you are wearing sunscreen, then a vitamin D supplement is also recommended. But this applies to everybody, not just vegans. For me, veganism is not just compassion for the animals, the environment, and for my health, but it also means widening the circle of compassion to include friends, family, acquaintances, and even total strangers. Unfortunately, in the world of plant-based nutrition, there can be a fair bit of criticism and judgment when it comes to the choices of others. You might have heard...
Choice is a very important word here. Because let's be clear, eating animals is not a choice, and it is absolutely our business when someone is knowingly and intentionally contributing to animal cruelty. People like to say that a lot. It's none of your business what I eat. No, it is. No, it is not what you eat, it's who you eat. And we will always speak up for the victims.
And by the way, this word judge gets thrown around like, hey man, no judgment, I'm not judging you, you can't judge me, you shouldn't judge others. You judge people all the time.
All the time, don't lie.
All the time. If you see a father rear back and slap his child across the face, would you judge him for it? I think you would.
If someone maliciously murders another human being, I think it's perfectly okay to think that that person is a shitty human being.
And as Alex O'Connor, Cosmic Skeptic here on YouTube, has said in one of his speeches,
non-human animals are members of our moral community and deserve to be treated as such, whether we like it or not.
They are sentient, they are conscious, they feel pain, they feel love, they feel joy, they suffer. They are a part of our moral consideration. You can say they aren't, but that's like saying that women aren't a part of our moral consideration, or children aren't a part of our moral consideration, or gay people are not a part of our moral consideration. They are. Whether you like it or not, they are. And so it's not judgmental to say that needlessly killing an animal is wrong. In fact, I think everyone agrees with it.
You might have heard or read somebody say, well, you eat fish, you're not a real vegetarian then. Or if you had honey, then you can't call yourself a vegan.
That's true.
If you eat honey, you're not a vegan.
That's not a matter of discussion. It's just the definition of veganism. And there is exploitation in the honey industry.
We made 2 videos about it. You can check those out.
Yeah.
And we have a recipe for persimmon honey.
And there's apple honey, and there's orange honey. There's so
many. We should have
put
acoustic guitar in the video. Maybe that would have gotten more views. I can play a little something.
Yes, we are judging you. Does it soften the blow?
Killing animals is wrong. If you pay for animals to be killed, it's wrong no matter what music is playing in the background.
Vegan. And according to the strict guidelines, that might be true. But I say drop the strict guidelines and just do your best.
So she's not advocating for veganism. Hold on. According to the strict guidelines of veganism, that may be true, but I say drop the strict guidelines. And these are 12
cares
tips.
About meaning?
This is a beginner's guide to going vegan. Step 9 or whatever we're on is just don't go vegan. I mean, once again, if we replace the victim and you say that you're against slavery and yet you have a slave at your home that only is a slave for you from 12 to 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoons and the rest of the week, you don't have a slave. According to the strict definition of anti-slavery, you know, I guess I don't qualify, but let's throw out the strict definition. I just want a slave for 3 hours a week. Once you start applying ethical consistency to these points, they just fall apart. And that's what we're trying to illustrate, is that she is clearly advocating for not only plant-based health, but whole food plant-based health. She's trying to get people to switch their diet. We are trying to get people to align their actions with their values, the values that they already have. So there's 2 different goals here. She has a goal, we have a different goal. It's being lumped in together as one thing, veganism, but that's why we're addressing this video. We're trying to show you the difference.
You know, I understand that there are people out there. They are so afraid of being firm in their beliefs and saying it like it is. They don't want They want to be accepted, and we don't give a shit about that. We don't care. We don't care what people think about us. That is not why we're here. That is not why we're activists. We're not activists for people's feelings. We're activists for the animals. We don't have that kind of power. You feel the way you feel because something within you is clashing. You know, there's a conflict within. Otherwise, you would just move on with your life and do the things that truly interest you. It's really amazing to see a lot of the same trolls in our comments feed year after year after year. People hang out on our YouTube and I don't know, they just don't have other things to do.
I mean, having plant-based foods most of the time is a clear win compared to nothing at all. And if you're somebody who is already following a plant-based lifestyle, I would encourage you to share and spread the message with love. Answer questions openly.
This whole better than nothing approach,
yeah.
Not that I don't believe that 100 people eating plant-based once a week is better than no people eating plant-based any times a week, but you have to wonder, why are you eating plant-based once a week? Is it because you want to reduce the amount of cruelty you contribute to? And if it is, which is odd because you're either for or against cruelty, but if it is, let's say it is your motivation, then you're already acknowledging that cruelty is wrong. Why is it okay to contribute to that cruelty 6 other days a week?
Would you advocate someone abuse their child fewer days a week, or would you just advocate that they stop? So as vegan activists, as people who speak up for the victims, we can't advocate for you to stop paying for animal exploitation a few days a week. That's just not the vegan message.
Openly and honestly, and never judge or criticize the decisions of others. Just lead by example, and if they feel inspired, they'll be more likely to join than if they were feeling pressured or were made to feel inadequate in some way.
Again, we can't make you feel anything. That's all on you.
All right, so those were Pickup Lime's top 12 tips for anybody who is transitioning to more of a plant-based lifestyle. And I also have a bonus tip for anyone who might be interested. You can always go to your doctor to get some blood work done before you begin, and again 6 to 12 months down the road. Of course, you don't need to do this, but it might help to increase your confidence and to help reassure you and your loved ones that things are going well. In many cases, the lab work comes back indicating no issues, or in some cases, certain lab values may have improved, things like cholesterol, which is why some people choose to follow such a lifestyle. But in other cases, it could come back and show a sign of deficiency. And I mean, that was the point, right? To make sure that things are going okay. So no worries. Remember, you're in the learning stages of it all. It could just mean that you overlooked a certain food item that you're now going to start to incorporate more into your diet. And if you choose not to do this as well, no worries also. If done correctly, there should be no deficiencies on a whole foods, plant-based diet. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, it would mean the world to me if you gave it a thumbs up, because to be honest, I was a little bit nervous about making it, hoping I was going to answer all of your questions. And if you're looking for more credible sources of information, I will share some links for you in the description box below. One of them is a book called Becoming Vegan. They also have a book called Becoming Vegetarian, written by 2 registered dietitians, and it's a very comprehensive resource for anyone who's wanting to learn and know more, and it's all evidence-based and backed up. The other one is a website as well as a YouTube channel called nutritionfacts.org, run by a vegan physician named Dr. Greger, and he's got some great information there as well, so you can feel free to check those out. All right, that's it for now. Pickup Lime's signing off. We'll see you real soon.
Okay, it would have been nice to include, you know, a link to Earthlings or Dominion.
Dairy is scary.
Yeah.
What's wrong with eggs?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with nutritionfacts.org. We love Dr. Greger, and his advice and his videos are very helpful. They're very informative.
The Physicians Committee, you got Neil Barnard, you got Dr. Michael Clapper, you've got Dr. Esselstyn, you've got, sure, What the Health, great documentary. You can watch it. The Game Changers, great documentary. You can watch it. But those are about plant-based nutrition. And right there at the end, so we've now just flipped. It's like whole food, plant-based, vegan lifestyle, plant-based lifestyle. This is important. It's an important distinction to make, whether you're talking about veganism or whether you're talking about a plant-based diet. And because we address that all the time on our channel, we thought this was an excellent example of someone who was claiming to be giving you a beginner's guide to veganism when in fact they're giving you a beginner's guide to plant-based nutrition.
I would say that a good way to figure out, what the motivation is behind a message is to really count the number of times the word animals comes up. Mm-hmm. I think I counted 2. There might be...
At around 7 minutes, she very briefly was like, oh, you feel a peace of mind that an animal is not killed. Anyway, moving on to pretty pictures of strawberries.
I know people are going to bring up, well, look at that. She has 3,100,000 something views and 2.28 million subscribers. You guys, what are you doing? Again, that is not why we are activists. That is not why we have a YouTube channel. We don't care about being accepted. We don't care about being liked. We want you to take in our message, and whatever your reaction to that message is, any reaction is better than apathy. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And just a couple of quick updates before we finish. Check out this podcast episode. I was interviewed in Spanish by the Veg Talk podcast, and hopefully there's some helpful tips in there for you. And also, we have been working hard at Kindred Spirits Care Farm Part 2. As you know, Kindred Spirits Care Farm was able to close on a property it's a 6-acre property. And we've been working to get it set up for the animals. And that is where a lot of our physical activism has been rerouted to, because it is a lot of work. Spreading mulch takes time. Putting in fencing takes time. Painting takes time.
Building sheds for animals. Getting everything situated for this new property it's a big undertaking that's probably going to be several months.
It has to be weeks because we're opening in April. Yeah. So it has to be done now. So come help us out. Check out our volunteer days on Instagram. And also, we know we're going to be getting calls as to where to place animals. We always do. And this is where they go. And we need your help. We love to rescue animals, but unfortunately, sanctuaries tend to receive very little support. Financial support is very important to how a sanctuary runs. So we need that help. So please contribute in any way you can, whether it's financial or whether it's with your time. Also, guys, we have some discounts happening on our Etsy store. We have sold out of a couple of designs, and we will probably not be making those for a while because I've been making stickers. You will be seeing those soon.
And if you guys aren't following us on Instagram, please do so. You can check us out day to day, what we're up to there.
Yeah, and we also post videos and content on Instagram that you will not see on YouTube.
And of course, a huge, huge thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. You guys make this channel possible. You guys make our activism possible. And if you like what we do and you enjoy our content and you'd like to support us, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. The link is in the description below.
Bye!
Bye. Does that help? Does that help with this video?